Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, the International Monetary Fund has confirmed that it will grant Egypt a $12 billion loan over 3 years to help the country mend its ailing economy after years of unrest. According to the IMF, the loan, which is subject to approval by its executive board, comes in support of a government overhaul that aims to stabilize Egypt's currency, reduce the budget deficit and government debt, and also bolster growth and create jobs. Egypt's economy has struggled since the 2011 uprising that overthrew the country's longtime autocrat, Hosni Mubarak, with high inflation, foreign currency shortages, and low tourism as well as investment. The Voice of America's Edward Iranian is in Cairo for us and joins us now on Network Africa. Edward, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Cynthia.
Well, this actually sounds bittersweet because the IMF says it will be giving Egypt the $12 billion loan, but also says that it's subject to the approval of the executive board. So has it been approved or not?
Well, the executive board could theoretically quash the deal if they find something not to their liking. I don't believe they usually do that, but it's possible. I couldn't discount that at this point.
Well, what other moves are the authorities in Egypt making to revive the economy? I mean, for instance, in the event that it doesn't pull through or sail through and the executive quashes the deal, what happens?
Well, I guess the currency would go into a free fall. I think everyone is hoping that doesn't happen. At the same time, most economists are predicting that natural gas reserves under the Mediterranean will start coming online within the next year or so. So there are economic reserves out there that would bolster the economy in the short to medium term. So it's not an entirely bleak scenario, but at the same time, I guess what you have to understand is that the amount of money they're borrowing or would like to borrow is probably equivalent to about half a year to maybe even less of ordinary tourism revenues. Now, if that were to come back online, they wouldn't even need this loan.
Well, Steve, you just mentioned tourism. We know that's a major sector for Egypt. Analysts are predicting that it might be difficult for Egypt to recover from the blows that it's suffered in terms of its tourism industry, specifically this year. So is there anything being done to restore or revive the tourism industry?
Well, I think the tourism minister has been exerting a great deal of effort trying to convince outside parties, outside tour operators, outside countries to give their seal of approval to a renewal of tourism with Egypt. The Russian government still has not lifted its ban on flights to the Sinai. Neither has Britain. Those are two of Egypt's major tourism partners. I think the issue of domestic turmoil, domestic political conflict is overriding most of those efforts. So until that situation simmers down, I think it's going to be difficult to revive tourism, at least as much as the authorities would like.
What about what's going on between Israel and Egypt? We know that ties between both countries are quite sound. So will there be any profit in terms of reviving Egypt's economy as regards the relationship that it has with Israel?
Well, normally the Israelis send tourists to the Sinai. Taba, which was given back by Israel to Egypt back in the early 90s, was a major draw for Israeli tourists, as well as other Sinai resorts, Sharm el-Sheikh down in the south, Mount Sinai, St. Catherine's Monastery. But I think they're leery about sending their citizens to the Sinai, given the political situation. In terms of other issues, well, the Israelis, the Cypriots, Egypt, and Lebanon all share those gas reserves. So good relations with Israel should smooth over any friction or possible friction over those gas development of those gas reserves.
Well, I guess we'll definitely know that in days to come, and also we'll hear what the board has to say about that loan, which is subject to approval. The Voice of America's Edward Iranian, thank you very much for joining us. And on that note, welcome to our Africa Tech segment. In this week's edition, we're looking at an independent online magazine in Egypt. And we're looking at its popularity spike as it tackles topics often seen as taboo in the very conservative country.
Publication in Egypt today has branched out to become a comprehensive online magazine, and its popularity has soared. Cairo Scene was established by 4 siblings who were born and raised in the United Kingdom. The online magazine covers a wide range of subjects. Amy Mawafi, who returned to Egypt in 2002 after graduating from university, began the venture with her siblings in a modest room in her flat in Cairo before moving to an office. The company now employs around 150 people, including about 25 editorial staff working for Cairo Scene. Mawafi believes tackling a wide variety of issues, even ones seen as taboo in Egypt's conservative society, was one of the company's main aims. The online publication has covered topics such as domestic slavery, prostitution and sexual harassment. Unlike the country's more traditional publications, Cairo Scene made use of multimedia formats to reach out to a wider and younger audience. Despite Cairo Scene's success, the Egyptian government has been accused of creating a hostile environment for the country's journalists. Reporters Without Borders says media freedoms are frequently violated and that Egypt has the 4th highest number of journalists in prison after China, Eritrea and Iran.
It goes without saying that transportation is a necessity for every nation, irrespective of its industrial capacity, population size, or technological development. According to experts, the designs of most of Nigeria's transport systems are flawed and end up causing huge congestion, specifically on the roads. The good thing is challenges tend to be the greatest drivers of innovation. Go My Way is a ride-sharing platform in Nigeria which recognizes this and is doing its bit to make a change. When we come back after the break, we're going to be speaking to the co-founder of Go My Way Africa. She is Damilola Tedi.